Welcome, everybody. My name is Michael, and today we're discussing about Polymarket. Shane Copeland is in the news, the CEO. He's 26 years old. Hey, that's the same age as me. And he is the founder and CEO of Polygon, operating since 2020. Going on to 5 years now, a betting market exchange for traders outside of America. That's right. After January 2022, when the CFTC got involved and they fined Polymarket $1.4 million. This was supposed to be a much larger fine, but they said due to extreme cooperation from the team at Polymarket, they reduced the fine. And this was because they weren't registered with the SEC for being a swap execution facility. And a couple of months later, in May 2022, they actually hired a former CFTC chairman onto its advisory board, and they revamped their entire system. For example, small tweaks such as limiting comments to only holders instead of just the general public. And you can bet on pretty much anything. You can bet on what's going to happen with Taylor Swift. You can bet on who is going to take a potential political office. And that became a huge movement these past couple of weeks leading up to the election. There was some scandals, and one of those was $30 million came from 4 accounts, which all ended up being one trader, a Frenchman, who was able to cash out $85 million, or will be, because his bet was correct. He placed a bet leading up to the election on Donald J. Trump becoming the president. And as we all remember, the last couple of days on Polymarket, it really was skewed for Donald Trump. It just went up. The last couple hours were, went from like 60% to 70 to 80 to eventually 97%. And then you had Kalshi, which was a similar platform, except instead of using cryptocurrency for having shares and futures now, it was similar to what Robinhood did, where it's allowing U.S. citizens to actually bet on the election market. It was deemed a little sketchier by some individuals. However, it got a huge amount of traction, especially with their advertising campaign. I was getting a bunch of advertisements from Kalshi and other similar betting platforms at the same time, basically all predicted a 97%. And just now, on Wednesday, not yesterday, there was an announcement by Shane, the CEO, that, hey, I was raided by the FBI. They took my phone, they took my computer, and they are looking for any evidence of potential wrongdoing. And a lot of people came out and said this is political persecution. This is obviously in relation to the markets and into the elections, and this is the current government trying to figure out their last-ditch efforts here if there was any manipulation to the election. And with the new presidency and the new cabinet and the new government members coming on board pretty shortly here, January 20th, a lot of people are suspecting if there will be any charges, potentially to Polymarket, the whole political play will help them because the new government may potentially pardon them if there are any false charges. So the big thing, the reason the FBI said they're taking a look at Shane Copeland and Polymarket right now, the FBI claimed that they were investigating whether there was any illegal betting. And by that, they mean had they gone against their word to the government since 2022, and were they allowing American citizens to bet? By the way, the land of the free, and we're not allowed to bet. Heck, if I was allowed during the whole Polymarket scenario, I would have bet 100%, and I would have probably made some money because I wanted to bet. However, the big thing was, yeah, you could use a VPN, and yes, I could say, well, I'm a citizen of another country, and I have bank accounts in Poland, and I've got this, which is completely true, but also I am a U.S. citizen, and I didn't renounce that citizenship. And if there were any issues relating to that, even if I used a VPN and they discovered that, my biggest fear was, okay, it's not like it's going to get paid out immediately. They still have to wait for Congress to approve. And some of these betting applications are waiting, like Kalshi, all the way up until January 20th, till the outgoing administration gets switched with the new incoming administration. And with that, that's a lot of time for potential fraud to be discovered and any potential payouts to not be paid out. I didn't want to lose any money. So it sucks as an American. Why aren't we allowed in this big free country to do absolutely whatever we want when it comes to the financial markets, especially when it's for degenerate acts like this? Because come on, ultimately we're all crypto degenerates trying to make a quick buck. And in this case, I would have made some money, but that's all right. Anyways, Polymarket has come out and said this is a political persecution by the outgoing administration. And in some ways, certainly it could be viewed like that because Shane Copland was not charged. He was not arrested with anything today. He was just ordered to hand over his electronics devices, and they're trying to find any potential evidence for future charges against him and Polymarket. So unless he had some very incriminating, crazy conversations on WhatsApp or Telegram or something, or a bunch of, insider trading photos, there's probably not going to be anything. And I doubt he's just, okay, lollygagging around. So what will be the outcome of this? Who knows? Shane Copland already posted new phone who's this on Twitter, and there has been a huge outpour of support for Polymarket. First off, a lot of Americans are very upset with this. If they're not charging him, why are they going to these depths? And Americans, it's not like, oh no, this is terrible. No, we want to bet. We want to have some fun. Casinos are allowed, and a bunch of other gambling stuff is allowed. Well, this makes a lot more sense. People are saying it's because this one, unlike Kalshi and some of the other platforms out there, it's because it's cryptocurrency focused. And there's a lot of people who don't like crypto, and they're going to do everything against us. Well, I mean, there are some rumors and conspiracies out there, and there's certainly some people currently in the current administration that are huge proponents of cryptocurrency. But thankfully, the markets are reacting very positively as of late to the incoming administration due to purported rumors, one of which, for example, that Donald Trump is planning to have no capital gains tax for any cryptocurrency transactions for U.S. citizens, which is huge. And I think America is very far behind in terms of regulation and in terms of just being a free country for cryptocurrency users compared to other nations around this world. For simple stuff like, hey, if I wanted to create a cryptocurrency ATM business, I need $500,000 in my state to really be able to start anything. And even then, I really need like $1 million, similar to franchising a McDonald's at that point, to have any chance of making a profit because of the extreme amount of regulation compared to other nations where really I need $50,000 or potentially less to have 1 or 2 ATMs and start a good business. So it's just everything is 10 times more expensive and 10 times harder here because of all these laws. And some of these laws are rather outdated. They're silly. I don't agree with them. So people are very bullish with what's to come. However, we must be careful because, Bitcoin is at a new all-time high. We did hit 94,300, and that's all great. If we hit 100,000 and beyond, that's fantastic. But we are approaching territories where there's a lot of people who are still skeptical because there are some fears. What happens if 2025 there's a recession? What happens with all these job markets reports? And eventually what comes up must come down. It's all cyclical. We're doing fine so far, and I'm very excited for these last 2 months. However, the higher everything goes, and we still need an out season because Bitcoin's dominance is like 60% right now. We just have to be a little careful, don't go full all in, dump it all on red, double down. Be a little prepared that there can be certain risks going forward. So Polymarket's super cool. And Shane Copland, if you do their research into him, this guy's a very smart kid. He is supposedly, the story goes, he invested in Ethereum when he could buy it for 35 cents. He's got a lot of very smart people involved with Polymarket, talking the likes of Peter Thiel. And in terms of Polymarket itself, just a platform based on Polygon back in 2020, which is based on Ethereum blockchain. He made his money from being an early cryptocurrency investor. He went to a good school, and now he's trying to hopefully change the world with simple mathematics and betting and predictability. And for all those people who are going to say, this is morally wrong, do I support gambling? No. You must be wise with your money. However, there's this thing called the lottery. There's this thing called casinos. People love spending money. And whether it's going to the casino or blowing their money at, fancy stores and crazy steakhouses and hotels, people want to have some fun. And there shouldn't be any silly limits, especially when other nations around this world, especially other citizens, have a lot more freedoms in these so-called stricter countries. Anyways, thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and take care.